Sports Podcast. I said, welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
What's going on, man?
How are you?
I am really good. How are you?
Great.
How are you considering your team?
I feel fine.
They're going to lose. You heard it here first.
Love it.
Pacers are winning.
Best thing that ever happened to me is the Andy Ruther curse. Andy Ruther curse. Pacers fans spinning right now. I love it. Listen, I am obviously the injuries piling up is not good. I said going into the series, if I had a fear, it was the lack of depth. So for multiple people to get injured during the series that I came into worrying about the lack of depth is concerning, but, and it is why the Knicks didn't win in 4 and didn't win in 5, but I'll tell you what I'm supremely confident about. I'm supremely confident about Game 5 in MSG.
Really?
After a 40-point loss, the crowd's going to be wild. Here's the thing. There's two teams and two coaches here, and there's two different home arenas. And the Knicks yesterday, and I tweeted it, got outplayed. And that's what the fans and the players and the coaches say when they lose a game and they're not total bloody vagina gash dripping with blood loser fucking bitch asses. They just go, we lost. It happens. And that's what, Tom Thibodeau said. And they said, Jalen Brunson, you're hurt. He said, no excuses. And they said, Tom Thibodeau, you don't have enough guys. He's like, no excuses. And that's the team that's going to serve you well in a raucous Game 5 at Madison Square Garden. A coach is, we're a small market team and we don't get any calls. That's not gonna fly in Game 5 in Madison Square Garden. The Tyrese Halliburton needs a walker like the guy from Up to get down the stairs after a loss. Completely fine after a win. That insurance fraud salesman is not going to serve you in a Game 5 in an MSG. There's two types of teams here. One is we lost, we take our L. The other is there was a kick ball and then we didn't get the kick ball. And if it wasn't for the kick ball, we would have won all 3 games. So I'm supremely confident in a Game 5 in MSG. Now we've talked historically through baseball series and basketball series and all the series that we've ever had. What happens in Game 6? I don't know. Do the Pacers respond, or do the Pacers roll over and die because they're fucking wimp losers? I don't know.
You're talking a lot of shit, man.
I'm talking a lot of shit.
You are.
I'm literally recapping what has happened so far. So the Knicks lose games. We lost, no excuses. The Pacers lose game, literal excuses and literal crying of tears.
No, but you're really talking shit that
I'm
Knicks...
supremely confident in a Game 5 in Madison Square Garden. Now, what happens in Game 6? I don't know. Do the Pacers roll over and die, or do they even the series? And then I have said about every series we've ever had in the history of the Dirty Sports Podcast, Game 7, Andy, what?
Anything is possible.
Yeah. So there is a difference. A Game 5 in New York, supremely confident. Now it'll be an even more raucous crowd should it go back to an MSG for Game 7, but Game 7's anything can happen.
So, but here's my thing. Even the first 2 games, obviously the Knicks win. I just felt like, in a way, you could make an argument the Pacers let those games get away.
And you could make an argument the Knicks let Game 3 get away.
Okay.
Couldn't you?
You could.
If I was an actual leaking pussy vagina, I would have been playing the Pascal Siakam putting Isaiah Hartenstein in a full Nelson for the last 4 days. I would have been doing that. I am not a cancer patient, fucking Rick Carlisle, crybaby, prematurely born bitch. I'm not a fucking wimp loser. So I'm not like, look at this foul. This would have changed the whole series. We would have been up 3-0. It's like we're now doing this 2 series in a row. And I got to tell you, Andy, this is, everybody talks about the fucking pussification of America and whatever. It's like, again, we come to the series. I said it to a Pacers fan who I have a bet with on this series because game 1 or game 2 happened and he hit me with a fucking thing. And I was like, wait, are you guys doing this? You're not doing this. I was like, I thought we moved on from the Philadelphia bitch ass relationship. Like, you aren't doing this. And he's like, oh my God, the calls. And I was like, what is this world we live in today? It's 2-2. It's 2-2. How are you guys still fucking complaining?
The depth, to me, is the biggest difference.
And the truth is, the Knicks have a coach that has run guys into the ground before, but this is the year it didn't need to happen because they had the depth. If you recall, when they made the OG Anunoby trade, what did I say? I said we traded guys and we improved the starting line, but we have limited the depth now. We took our best bench scorer and he's gone. Now, I also said, if this means another move, which it did, Bogdanovich and Alec Burks came back. But, since that happened, obviously, forget the Randall thing. Randall's been gone for months. But OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson, Bogdanovich, you have 2 starters and one of your first guys off the bench. And they're hurt. And 2 of them are hurt because piece of shit Philadelphia purposely hurt them. But, we'll leave that out for now.
What's your bet with a dirt ball?
Just $100 on the series. $100 or he becomes a lifetime founding member. And I was like, cool. Like, this is, and to me, it's like, I would never make that bet with a Philadelphia fan because they're welchers and losers and liars and frauds, right? But I was like, oh, well, Indiana fans, like, yeah, we have a rivalry, but it's fun. But also, Reggie Miller won 34% of his games against the Knicks. It's not that big. It's not a real rivalry. There were some fun moments, but it's not a real thing. There's not really bad blood, whatever. First game, the guy I have a bet with, oh my God. I go, what? This isn't real. I was like, you guys aren't complaining about calls, right? Oh, fucking Jalen Brunson's whistle. Okay. Here we go again. That's what I said yesterday. Regardless of what happens, I'm a homer for my team, obviously. Everybody, that's what being a fan is being a homer. But so I look at this Knicks team and I'm like, oh, I mean, yeah, but what if Randall comes back and demands the ball? And what if Randall, thinks that him being the alpha is I still have question marks about the team going forward. What if we don't sign Isaiah Hartenstein? What are we going to offer OG Anunoby after a year where he was hurt for us during the regular season and hurt during the postseason? To me, there's a lot of question marks about this New York Knicks team going forward, but I am actually so much more confident than I would be if I was like looking at my own team in a vacuum based on how triggered they make other fan bases. The triggering now, I'm like, oh shit, are we like are we going to be one of the best teams in basketball? Is that why everybody has their panties in a bunch? Like everybody is like now realizing this is something they're going to have to deal with for a decade. I might be a homer, but I'm also a beaten, bruised, abused, like just absolutely shell-shocked Knicks fan, where just because something's good for a moment doesn't mean it's going to be good forever. So I wasn't like confident, oh, we're going to fucking be, but now I am. Sixers fans, our boy Brandon Ward, dude, your team was eliminated 2 weeks ago. You're still in my mentions crying. Like Sixers fans are still like, go to Citizens Bank Ballpark and spit on a kid or whatever you do every spring when the fucking Sixers choke. Like Indiana fans are, oh, Halliburton's better than Brunson. Imagine even writing that. Imagine even writing it. Now I'm like, fuck. I'm confident about game 5, and all these fans are making me supremely confident about going forward.
I would argue the Pacers have the momentum right now.
Well,
even though the next game's in Madison Square Garden, obviously Jalen Brunson, DiVincenzo, like hard, like your big three laid a complete egg yesterday. I'm just saying this. They win the first 2 games. Brunson has 40 in game 1, 40 plus. Game 2, he missed a quarter. He might have had 40, quarter and change. It's my thing is like how many for them to win. Brunson's got to get 35, man.
Well, Andy,
right?
You're saying for the Knicks to win, one of the only legitimate NBA star of the 6 guys who can get minutes has to score a lot of points? Like, yeah, we know.
My point is, I just don't like he's already done it so much. I feel like that well is going to run dry. He just can't keep putting up that many points. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he can.
Well, listen, that's what Jalen Brunson has been hearing the whole time. You know, Jalen Brunson had an incredible season, and then he had 2 really not great games against the Sixers in game 1 and 2, and everybody's like, see, fraudulent, the blah 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 blah. And now Sixers fans are, crying, but have become Pacers fans and are crying still. So like Jalen Brunson is the literal definition of a guy who's like, people have been telling me my whole life, I can't do it. You're too small. You're not good enough. Blah, 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 blah. And Jalen Brunson hurt his foot and missed a whole quarter. And they're like, are you hurt? And he's like, nah, it's like, no, she's like, he literally said, I'm fine. I'm fine. He had to miss a whole quarter of game 2. And he's coming back. I'm fine. I'm fine. Tyrese Halliburton hasn't missed a minute of the game, and he was doing like the Johnny Knoxville pretending to be an old man bit leaving a press conference. He was doing like the fucking Six Flags dancing old man commercials.
I'm not familiar with those. What are those?
You don't remember those? Oh, you would know it. It would right. You guys have Six Flags there, don't you?
We don't.
You don't? Isn't fucking Cedar Point or whatever like a Six Flags?
That's by closer to Cleveland. We have Kings Island. I don't know if they were bought out. They're owned by the Cedar Point amusement park, whoever owns that. Obviously we have Six Flags in California.
Yeah.
When did they run those commercials?
Oh man, I feel like you would totally know. Put in Six Flags old man. It was like a guy in an Uncle Junior costume, basically.
Why do I not remember this? Oh yeah, now I do.
Yeah. I forget what song it was that they would play.
This guy. Okay. Yeah. I remember this. Here. This is the original Six Flags. He's known as Mr. Six.
Okay.
Okay, here it is. Let me pull this up. All right, so he is called Mr. Six. Let's see here.
There once was a town that worked so hard, there was just no time for
I don't
play.
even think this is it, Andy.
But that all changed on this one particular day.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah. Here's Tyrese Halliburton coming down the stairs of the press conference. I can't walk. My back has hurt. Oh, we're winning.
Oh, I got the Vanga.
Oh, we're winning.
The Vanga boys.
Oh, we're up 20 points in the first quarter. My back is healthy. I'm fine.
You gotta look like Sacha Baron Cohen. Oh, and he takes him to Six Flags.
Yeah.
There's a time for work, and there's a time for play.
I mean, it's pretty creepy.
Six
If
Flags.
you think about it.
It's playtime.
Old man comes
I
out.
mean, him coming down the bus stairs, literally in the exact posture of Tyrese Halliburton coming down the stairs.
I wouldn't get in a bus with an old man. It's a grown ass man.
I love that. That's the perfect commercial for the Pacers because not only is he Tyrese Halliburton coming down the stairs and then dancing like Tyrese Halliburton when his team has a 10-point lead, but he also looks exactly like Rick Carlisle.
The hatred you have for Rick Carlisle is
I just think
wrong.
I feel so betrayed. I feel so betrayed by Rick Carlisle
because he was your 2011 Mavs coach.
My 2011 Mavs coach. I've been talking about the job he did and like everything that he put together and all that. For him to say 76 and we're writing a strongly worded letter to the league and small hard hit Hibbs. I mean, it was.
Well, I agree there. Rick Carlisle went full Karen. Like, never go full Karen. You're complaining to the manager.
Yeah.
When you're watching game film of calls, when you're writing a letter, who writes a letter? A Karen.
Yeah.
When you're submitting a letter to the league, you've gone full Karen. Never go full Karen.
I just feel so betrayed that such a long-time NBA guy played in Boston, coached all these teams, so betrayed to then all of a sudden be doing this like small market. I mean, it was literally like, what do we play here? What tune do we play? And they were like, well, they're in New York and we're Indiana. Like, play the small market thing. It's like, ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Anybody else have anything? So like, they start a couple white guys. Should we do like a racist thing? They're like, no, the small market thing's a better play. Like, do that. He's like, oh, okay, small market thing. And that's it. And that's why I'm confident about Game 5.
What's the line? I'm gonna pull it up real quick. What kind of line are we working with for this?
It's a great question.
All right, so I mean, it's close. Knicks at home only -2.5. I think the Pacers win the game.
It's the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you, Andy. I thought I was confident before.
I think the Pacers win the game. I'm not saying that they're going to clinch the series in 6. I think they win the game.
I mean, maybe the craziest call ever would be the Pacers win in Madison Square Garden, the Knicks win in Indiana.
I think they win the game, though. Although that arena will be turned. They'll be going nuts.
Oh, yeah. I like everything I see from how the Knicks handled the loss. From Brunson walking off the court, telling, Pacers, so long series, to he's clearly hurt, but saying he's fine, to Tibbs being asked about the injuries and saying, it is what it is, no excuses. It's the complete opposite of what's coming out of Indiana, which is we have a list of 76 excuses that we'll be submitting to the league. And then Tyrese Halliburton's like, I didn't play well because I'm injured. And then the celebrating, like, I thought the champagne celebration in the locker room yesterday with TJ McConnell and Tyrese Halliburton wearing ski goggles and them having cigars, I thought that was a bit over the top. But listen, it's their home arena. They can do whatever they want.
Shots fired.
All I'm saying is game 5. And then game 6, that'll be an interesting one. And then game 7, anything is possible. But I think the Knicks go back to Indiana up 3-2.
Well, look at us. Started 2-0 on 2 of these series, and now they're all knotted up, and the tide has turned.
I got to tell you, Andy, the other day, I feel like I should have shot you the message as well. But I was on my gambling app, and I was like, I want to see what this is before game 3. And I checked the NBA championship odds. And because they were down 2-0, Denver fell to 15-1.
You said that on the show.
Oh, I did say it.
Yeah.
I did say it. I sent our boy Andrew from Austin and now Germany a message. And I was like, hey, we talk a lot of NBA gambling. I was like, hey, this is 15-1. We got I was like, it's crazy. Like everybody said, no one's beaten Denver in a 7-game series. They're 15-1 now. I was like, I think Minnesota can still win this series and may still win this series. But I was like, this is reckless for us not to put some money down. So I put some money down on Denver 15-1. Now I have rooting interest in the series.
That's really changed. I'm looking at the odds right now. Man.
Now what does it fall into?
Well, this is FanDuel. I don't know what site you use. They're plus 360.
Gee, that's crazy. And where do they rank versus everybody?
Boston's minus 140.
Yeah.
And then Denver.
Wow. And they went from behind Minnesota, Boston, and Oklahoma City.
I think Denver wins the series now. They might have been Ruther cursed because I thought they would take 1. I said this on Dirty Sports. I thought it would go 6. I thought they'd take 1 there. But man,
I mean, listen, if you're a fan base out there, it almost feels like you got to tune into the Dirty Sports. Andy Ruther started watching basketball 72 hours ago, and now he just shows up and he's just like, this is what's happening in this series. It's on.
Experience matters a lot in a Denver, Minnesota series. I probably didn't.
I just think with, you're just like with KG in the middle for Minnesota. No, Andy, he's long retired. He played for Boston for a while after.
Well, I like a lot of people. I was really drinking the Anthony Edwards Kool-Aid, and I should. I mean, what did he put up yesterday?
I mean, it's Anthony. It's not even Anthony Edwards Kool-Aid. Anthony Edwards, it's water. It's Anthony Edwards is water life.
Well,
unless you're a Pacers fan, in which I assume you think Tyrese Halliburton is better than Anthony Edwards.
So Edwards keeps getting a lot of the Michael Jordan comparisons, which, I mean, everybody wants to compare everybody to Michael Jordan.
My favorite new trend too is if you're a young star in the NBA and you don't have a father, then Michael Jordan was your father.
Oh yeah, that's a wild one.
We did this with Jimmy Butler 2 years ago.
Yeah.
If you're good at basketball and you don't have a father, Michael Jordan is your father. It was weird when they started doing that. He was Austin Reeves' father. I was like, are we sure? I don't see it personally. And they're like, his dad's nowhere to be found. He's Austin Reeves' dad.
Now, if Anthony Edwards shows up to the next game in some big ass oversized jeans, then
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, if he shows up in
hoop
oversized
earring.
Kenko jeans with holes pre-cut in them, and then weirdly like a sweater vest
Yeah.
and an army hat, like the hat you roll up and put in your pocket if you're in the army.
And a hoop earring that you could jump through. It's so big.
Yeah, and a hoop earring that fell off of Jennifer Lopez when she was
And
fucking
Geely.
yeah, exactly.
By the way, completely random. No mention of Geely when Ben Affleck did that terrible roast and he was talking about terrible movies. He didn't mention Geely. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
he omitted that one. Look, if they want to compare him to Jordan, I'll say this. If he's Jordan, then it's early days Jordan losing to the Pistons because he doesn't have enough help. Because that kind of seems where it might be going.
Well, the Timberwolves team and even in this series, it's sort of based on the idea that offensively he's going to be the engineer because the roster is built around stopping Denver defensively. Like Rudy Gobert, I mean, he's not giving you shit offensively, you know? So yeah, he's kind of got to be the guy. Listen, I think everybody has gone, this series has gone back and forth to the point where it's like, everybody's now doing this. Like, oh, it's this, it's that, it's this, that's like, you know, they say in the regular season is where you make your name and in the postseason is where you make your fame. I don't think we've heard from the last of Anthony Edwards in this series. And again, if they win a game, right? If they win one more game, then it goes 7. Correct? No matter what, if they win one more game, they have to play. They play 7 for Denver. For Denver to win, they would have to go 7. So they win one more. We're looking at a 7 game. Anything is possible.
Or they could just win the next 2, and then there's
They
no
could.
7.
They could. Do you think it sorts itself out now? Do you think it goes Minnesota wins a game at home, Denver wins a game at home?
I'm more leaning towards Denver wins the
Denver
next
going
2.
0-2 and then goes 4 straight to.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that.
Wow. I mean, Andy Ruther, if we've learned anything about Andy Ruther's NBA hot takes today, it's the dude is riding the momentum game. He's literally at a roulette wheel in Vegas. He's like, the last 4 have been black. It's going to be black again. What? How do you guys think this works?
I just have a sense of these things, you know. The sense is usually wrong, but I have a sense. I have some kind of sense in these things.
Boston, how about that?
Boston in 5. Sadly. I think I hate Boston more than any other NBA team.
Why is that?
I don't know. No reason. I just don't like them.
You essentially had said you had essentially given the series over to Oklahoma City like right out of the gate.
Why? Why did I do that?
They were up 1-0.
That was a terrible take.
You're like, this series is over. I was like, I don't know. I think this is going to be a 7-game series, actually.
That was literally a terrible take. I don't know why. My NBA
because you're a momentum guy. Literally, whoever has won the last game, like you're like whoever won the last game when we air is winning the fucking series. If we had an episode before the last Celtics game, you're like, Cavs are coming back and winning this thing.
No, I wouldn't have said that. But yeah, the OKC Denver take or Dallas take was terrible. I've had a lot of pretty shitty takes here.
I actually still do kind of like Oklahoma City in that series, like a little bit. I just felt like you have some experience on Dallas's side and you have the young kids on Oklahoma's side That's obviously going to be a factor. But I think top to bottom, and again, depth and, sort of like the Mavericks are a more top heavy team for sure. So I could see those two rosters kind of pushing each other back and forth for a while. I think that is going to be a good series. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets evened up.
In Dallas, next game's in Dallas.
Yep. And he's like, nah, I'm giving that series to Dallas now. It's over.
No, I'm not giving it to Dallas. I'm just thinking ahead. Who gives Denver a better shot?
Probably neither of them. If Denver gets through, I think that you're then looking at a situation where you're OKC and you don't have that experience. And you're looking at Dallas where you're like, yeah, we have two sort of somewhat top heavy rosters, but the guy on Denver being less ball dominant, more like the better player, to be truthful. I know there are, I'm sure the people out there who think Tyrese Halliburton averaging half of the points that Jalen Brunson's averaging is a better player. I'm sure there are people out there who are like, look how fucking clears. But, the league is full of delusional people.
NBA Twitter? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. The NBA Twitter league.
Which did we decide that was the worst takes of all the leagues?
Oh, it has to be.
It's
right?
got to be.
It's got to be. NFL Twitter is not great.
No.
MLB Twitter doesn't exist because Major League Baseball doesn't allow it to exist.
They did a documentary on Black Twitter on Hulu.
Oh, really?
And I'll be honest, I watched the trailer and then I was just, because you and I have talked a lot about Black Twitter, which to me is like a subsection of NBA Twitter.
Yeah.
And I watched the trailer and I was just like,
I don't know if it's a subsection of NBA Twitter, but like the Venn diagram of NBA Twitter and Black Twitter has a lot of crossover.
Yeah, it's literally, I forget what the title is, but literally it has Black Twitter in the title. But I watched just the trailer, and then I remember thinking, is the
title of this documentary skull emoji, skull emoji, skull emoji, Black Twitter in parentheses? Like an 80s song where they put the real title in the parentheses after?
It's called Black Twitter, A People's History, and it was based on a Wired article. And I'm just thinking,
is the title of this documentary the GIF of the black guy going, "Got him," and then just Black Twitter in parentheses?
Well, you're kind of getting to what I was thinking when I watched the trailer. I'm just like, we made a whole documentary out of this?
Yeah.
Like, and maybe I want somebody who's black to kind of hop in here and be like, you sound racist, Ruther. I don't know. Maybe I do. I'm just saying, like, you did a whole document, and even the description, I'm looking at it right now, based on Jason Parham's Wired article. You turned a 3-part documentary from an article? And again, we know Black Twitter exists. It'd be like them doing a documentary on Blinking Guy meme.
Yeah.
With the best memes. Like meme history.
Meanwhile, if they did a documentary on white Twitter, it'd be like white Twitter in parentheses X is what it's called now that Elon Musk took over.
I like how they always say formerly known as Twitter.
That's got to piss him off, right?
Who fucking knows? Stop shadow banning me, dude. Like, what the hell? What did I do? What did I do to get shadow banned?
I love, by the way, I mean, I hate to put it on the list of great Andy Ruther hot takes gone awry, but like, you're like, this is gonna be great for Twitter. He immediately shadow banned you. You're like, I think this is good for Twitter. This is gonna be a great move for Twitter. And he was like, is it?
Well,
he's like, I'm now shadow banning you and all the accounts that you're associated with.
I don't know if overall Twitter, you disagree with me on this. I don't know if it's overall worse.
By the way, we were talking before the show. About how I talked to some of our Substack people in when I was in New York. Here's a tip: do not ever put Substack in any. Do not put the word Substack in any tweets at all.
That's fascinating.
or it'll just get sent to Nowheresville.
Not surprised.
King of the anti-censorship king. Just make sure you don't say any words that he doesn't like.
Also, make sure you don't have to ever work with support over there because it doesn't exist.
Right. Well, he fired them all.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
Like, if I know you're going to make fun of me, but seriously, if more companies had the Apple support, there's no support like the Apple support. I will talk about a stand. I will stand for that till the day I die.
Well, it's funny because Apple is sort of like in a way, you could say the original tech company, because there was, software companies and there was like, Microsoft and whatever, but like Apple has obviously made computers, then they made, phones, and they made iPods, and they made all the, like, it's kind of the OG, like all-encompassing tech company. Meanwhile, every single company that would call themselves quote unquote tech that happened after Apple literally has zero. They're like, no, that's the best part about being a tech company. We just, like, you cannot talk to somebody on a phone or email or whatever. You can just like send a message to support@ourname.com that will never get a reply. Like, if you have any issue with Google, there's forums where other people who fucked with Google could maybe answer, but like,
exactly.
You're like, but no, I have an issue. Like, I used Google Pay for something and you guys have stolen tens of thousands of dollars of money out of my bank account. They're like, have you tried asking a forum?
That's my favorite. I'm still, and maybe this is boomer of me, I'm still old school. I love to get somebody on the phone.
Yeah.
I love to get somebody on the phone who's going to walk me through this. The same way, our people's minds they understand and learn things differently. Like the same way I can't read directions for the life of me, but if I watch a YouTube video, I'll figure it out.
The NBA should take a page out of every tech team's book and be like, hey, Rick Carlisle, send your complaints to support@refs.com. I'll be writing a strongly worded letter.
Who do you think put that together? What I want to know the job title of the person on the Pacers who put together
Nick
the complaint.
D'Alessandro. Like but honestly, it's probably one of the guys who works for the Knicks in whatever, and they were like, some guy who gets paid $25 an hour. They were like, pull everything that you think is a borderline bad call and put
the guy
it
works for the Pacers.
Yeah, and put it into a highlight reel. And this kid's like, I don't get paid enough for this.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one.
And then they were like, how many are there? And he's like, I don't know. I just put all the ones I saw. And they're like, can you count them now? Rick has to say it at the press conference. Now he's like, 1 clip, 2 clips, 3 clips. Fuck.
Yeah, it would suck.
All righty. We've got 75 clips.
I did like that thumbnail for last episode from DJ Sizzle.
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle is. I can't look at him now without thinking about Fire Marshal Bill because of you. Every time I see him, I think of Fire Marshal Bill. And you know what I did. When we ended our last podcast, I watched a few Fire Marshal Bill sketches on YouTube.
Yeah. How were they? They hold up?
Yeah, but they're not as they're when you're a kid, they're way funnier.
Well, also that you're getting OG Jim Carrey, like you had not been desensitized to Jim Carrey's wackiness.
True.
That's
a good point.
It's like Tom Green. If you went back and watched the Tom Green show, you're like, oh, cool. I've seen 8 trillion videos like this on TikTok.
Yeah, he painted his parents' house.
Yeah.
When they were gone. Which at the time, you remember watching that? I remember watching Tom Green in college, be like, oh my God, look what he did to his parents' house. That was insane. Yeah. No, I totally feel you. By the way, I finished the I finished the Woodstock 99 documentary.
Ruther, is part of an Andy Ruther show going to be the documentary reviews?
No, but it should.
There should be.
Here's the thing.
You have turned into just like you make fun of Karens. You turn into a straight up middle-aged white woman. Like, I love my murder docs.
No, I'm not into the murder docs as much. I'm into something that connects with me. So Woodstock 99, I'm just like, okay.
I was a big Limp Bizkit fan back in the day. You're like,
I used to listen to Limp Bizkit. You know it. You know I did. I used to. That was on. That was on the workout mixes. It's funny. So I'm entering my senior year of high school when that whole shit show happens. So then I went down the rabbit hole of seeing who was playing, like the actual set list on which was. It was a wild set list on the 2 different stages.
Like the lineup.
The lineup was wild because it was everybody from Limp Bizkit and Korn and Red Hot Chili Peppers to Ice Cube, Wyclef Jean, Dave Matthews. You know what I'm saying? Like the Roots. It was all over. It was all over the map. And I forgot how wild it ended. I mean, it's not the best documentary.
Didn't it end with like bonfires and like no water?
But like insane amount, like the carnage that they did. And it's always fun for me to watch with somebody who's younger, right? Like Brittany's like 10 years old or some shit when this happens. So she hit like not even maybe like her memory, she doesn't have a memory. So I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm just next to her like, oh, this is crazy. I was in high school. I remember MTV News. Again, you're right. It's probably not the best documentary. But I fall into those stupid things. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up. Oh yeah, Shaq. That's right. Shaq, Shannon Sharpe beef.
You just told me about this morning. I didn't even know that this was a thing.
I'm shocked you didn't see this. So Shaq and Shannon Sharpe have had an ongoing beef for like 4 days now, 5 days.
And this goes back. This goes back to the Jokic, Shaq telling Jokic he didn't think he was the MVP.
Yeah. So Shaq tells Jokic right live on TNT that he didn't think he should be the MVP, and then of course Shannon Sharpe's going to talk about it. So he talks about it on his podcast. So he's got 2 podcasts. He's got Club Shay Shay, and he's got the one with Ocho Cinco, and I think Gilbert Arenas is on it sometimes now too. So this is how it all started. This is what Shannon Sharpe said on his podcast last week.
Never gonna see another guy Shaq's size with his athleticism that was as dominant as him. Shaq should have 5 MVPs. He sees a guy like Nikola Jokic that's not as dominant as him and gets 3 and 4 years. But see, when you historically great, they talk about you as great basketball player, the GOAT, and Shaq is never brought up. And I think a part of him is envious of that.
When we talk about the greatest basketball players of all time as far as the GOAT conversation, Shaq's name is never brought up in that?
Yeah. It's hard for me to put somebody in the GOAT conversation with 1 MVP. Regular season. It's hard, Gil. So we're going to take somebody with 1 regular season MVP and put him in front of people that got 3, that got 4, that got 5. If Shaq would have had, if he'd had my work ethic, he'd have had 40,000 points.
So this is a highlight, but obviously that's what Shannon said on his, like, let me ask you first. What did he say wrong there?
Well, and that's what I was going to say. I think if you are a longtime listener, viewer of the Dirty Sports podcast, that both Andy and I are kind of Shaq stans.
For sure.
Like, we both really, really appreciate Shaq. I did my fucking, where do I have Shaq? I got my list still sitting here. 5 all time
that you've watched.
That I've watched? Correct. Sorry, that I've watched. 5 all time. Ahead of Bird, Magic, Katie, Steph, ahead of Kobe, Luka, AI, Hakeem, Jokic, KG, Giannis, Pippen, Dirk, Isaiah, Barkley, all those guys. I mean, it's hard to be more of a Shaq stan than putting him 5 all time on guys I've watched play. Also, every single thing Shannon said was correct.
Yeah, and exactly. And we've both agreed, like Shannon just said, the dominance when he was peak Shaq, especially during that three-peat with the Lakers. Guys, I don't think people understand. He was unstoppable. Now, I've said this. LeBron has had some insane playoffs, but when I use the word dominant, it was like, hey, I'm going to get him the ball and he's going to dunk on you and you can't stop him. That's dominant.
Yeah. Now, there's always this big question mark around Shaq, which no one also disagrees with in regards to how he prepared, how he played regular seasons. They didn't want him breaking down for the playoffs. So like part of Phil Jackson's thing was, hey, take it easy, big fella. We're going to be just fine. Who cares if we're the 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed, 6 seed, 7 seed? We don't give a shit as long as you're healthy and you're ready to go and we haven't worn you down. Come playoff time, we can beat anybody. Now, it's so easy to say if you're a fucking casual that Kobe had Mamba mentality and he played every game like it was Kobe was 6'5", dude. Shaquille O'Neal is 7'1", 400 pounds. Like the wear and tear on your bones and your body of just jumping and running and being that big, it's just not the fucking same. Like I think there's a case to be made if you wanted to argue about Shaq's lack of sort of caring, where you could say, yeah, Shaq could have had the most dominant 10 years in NBA history, but that would have been it for Shaq's career. If Shaq just like went fucking hard day one till he retired, like he would have broken down in 10 or 12 years. He probably would have had the same number of rings. He would have had more MVPs and blah, 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 blah. Or maybe he probably would have had the same number of rings that he got with like the Lakers. He doesn't get at one with the Heat in like kind of the decline era. He probably doesn't get, but like also the dude played a long time in the NBA for how big he was. He does have 3 finals MVPs. But like, yeah, you're not in the GOAT combo if you have 1 league MVP. You're not. Dude,
He's not.
LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kareem, and Duncan. Those are guys I have ahead of Shaq. Guys behind Shaq, Bird and Magic, Steph. Those guys all have multiple MVPs. They don't have the dominance that Shaq had. So they are ahead of him on my list. But like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kareem, Duncan have the dominance. Obviously not like that at the peak, not that like 40 and 20 in playoff games, but have a dominance. They are players who dominated the league, won multiple rings, won multiple league MVPs, won multiple finals MVPs, and did it for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like nothing Shannon said was wrong.
No. Nothing he said was wrong.
Except maybe if he had my work ethic, he'd have 40,000 points. Because the thing is like, I just don't know that Shaq's body holds up long enough to do that. And he wasn't Kareem. You know, he wasn't like, I'm going to hit hook shots into my 40s. It was never going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, guys, pull up his stats. I'm looking at him now. I mean, just look how many times he played after his first 3 years. How many times, after his first 3 years, how many times did he play 75 games in a season? I mean, that's the point. It's like that was his MO, right? For us growing up, it was, especially when he hit the Lakers, it was Shaq is going to dominate in the playoffs. He's going to coast in the regular season. The Lakers have a great scorer in Kobe Bryant when Kobe started to turn into that player that he was, right? So you have a 1-2 punch. You got great role players. You have Phil Jackson as the coach. And that's exactly what happened.
And that's okay. Like, to me, as a fan of a team or as a guy, to me, it's like titles are what matter, and not as the Kobe Bryant second banana on a team or the Robert or whatever. Like, to me, doing what you have to do to lead your team to a championship is what matters. And him and Phil Jackson figured out a plan as to how to best use Shaq so that they could win championships, not so that he could win league MVPs, not so that he could end up on the top all-time scorers list. So I appreciate that. I appreciate it more than the reverse, right? Like, I would rather you do that than play every game in the regular season, win a bunch of league MVPs, break down when you get to the playoffs, and not win championships. I think that's now, why is LeBron James the GOAT? Because he didn't have to pick and choose. He was 6'9", 265 pounds, never fucking skip. Like, people are on his ass for like load managing 4 games a year. Like, a guy for doing it for 20 years, never takes significant breaks, dominate the whole time. That's why he's the GOAT. But if I had to choose between Mamba mentality and Shaq winning championships, I'm going to take Shaq winning championships.
But Shaq took this personally.
Because Shaq and, like, because something's going on. I don't know what's going on at TNT. I don't know if they got a bad batch of fucking wine or something like that. But, like, I don't know if it's the end of the TNT era. But, like, him and Charles, they got to separate those guys. They can't let those guys hang out until they're on set. There's a little bit too much of a butthurt groupthink going on over there.
So Shaq dropped a diss track.
And I love that for him, too. I'm glad he's still rapping.
Oh, yeah, I'm here for it. So this is Shaq's diss track, which he dropped on, I believe, Friday.
Is it with Fushnikins?
It's not.
Ah, fuck.
I know.
Shaq hates every big man. If you haven't noticed,
Yeah, he does.
he doesn't like the big man, rightfully so, because that's his position. He is, in his mind, he is the apex predator. No matter what no one says, we don't care. He don't care what you say. He don't care. You can throw all the championships and all that. If we lace him up, and we had to, in our prime, had to play against each other in our prime, he thinks he's the apex predator. Those awards hurt him. They irritate the hell out of him.
Yes, it's the MVPs, Gil. It's the MVPs because he only have one.
They didn't think that I would win, but I won.
Well, you think you can say something about the teams and he ain't gonna say something back?
I got in.
You gotta have G14 classification.
I'm the best in the world.
I'm number one.
I'm the best in the world.
I'm number one.
I'm the best in the world. Number.
Oh no, Shannon Sharpe, man, you're way beneath me. Your whole demeanor is faker than new rapper Beefy. You're soft, before you get fly, you rather tweet me. I was in 3 different cars when you was in 3 feet. All I see is dollar signs, they come in 3D. Make it hot, ain't no way around my degree. You are not in my spot, you are like a peewee. Shula got them calling me Rocky the way I re-re. I get to the green bag, I don't mean a lawnmower. Jet flying, foreign driving, Best Buy and Don Pora.
Okay, so I don't. That's probably obviously not the full thing. I don't think we need to hear the full thing.
Right. He's not the most dominant rapper of all time.
That's for sure.
No. But I mean, I like that Shaq's still coming. I like that Shaq's still settling things with, he did Kobe How My Ass Taste back in the day.
Legendary.
He put out a rap album. I like that Shaq still like, I'm not going to do the back and forth thing on Twitter and on my show. Like, I'll drop in this rap beef. Now, again, like I said about Kendrick and Drake, if somebody gets shot, it would be better. Like, But I like that he still went. Like that he still was like, yeah, I'm going to do a diss track. Like, okay. Again, I don't think Shannon said anything wrong. And I think that I also think Shannon is on point when he talks about Shaq in relation to, like, he always does have some shit about Anthony Davis, Embiid, Jokic. Oh, when I played, this is what I would do. He's got to show up big in the playoffs, which is like, okay, but you're leaving out I showed up big in the playoffs because I didn't have to play in the regular season whatsoever. Like,
yeah.
Like, so, I mean, but like, also, he should be a little bit more. I wish Shaq was a little bit more honest about that. I wish he was like, you got to do what you got to do. You got to be ready to dominate in May. It ain't about dominating in January. You should hibernate like a bear. Like I did. Sleep through the winter. Come out in the spring and hunt. But like this idea, like instead, Shaq's like, if you don't play 82 games and average 40, you a criminal. You a crook. You stealing money. It's like, Shaq, you literally never played 82 games ever.
Well, yeah, and Shaq is making this so.
Also, my teeth wall was perfect. Shaq, now we're just lying. Shaq.
He's made it really personal because the back and forth is not ending. Then Shaq went to Instagram, I believe, last night, and he writes this long caption. You took me sticking up for Shay as jealousy of Joker. Shows how smart you are and how you say anything to get clicks. So here's some clickbait for you. So now he's calling him a clickbait guy. If you ain't ranked in the top 10 in your profession, then you can't speak on me. Weird take. Don't forget, I know what you did to get where you're at. Not sure where that is. Yeah. What's that mean?
Why wasn't that in the diss track?
Yeah. Me jealous sounds like you're jealous. I know you trying to stay relevant by gossiping on your podcast. We don't believe you. You need more people. And in your case, you forgot 4 rings, 3 finals MVPs, top 50 and top 75. Google me. And to be quite frank, all this new success you got, you still under me. You don't know my work ethic. See, this is where the insecurities are coming out. Because we do, Shaq. I'm not saying that you don't work hard. You definitely didn't give it your all on the basketball court, which, again, to your point,
maybe better, maybe smarter, yeah. Maybe the way to win championships.
But according, I work less than you, but I'm worth more than you. Make it make sense. Well, okay, well, I'm not sure what money has to do with it.
Yeah. Also, you fucking invested in Icy Hot and the General. Like, what,
Yeah. Love you. See, look, this is what I don't like about Shaq. You took a strictly basketball discussion, which I'm all here for, and you made it so personal.
Andy, it's how you know someone. It's the number one tell of how you know somebody's lost an argument.
Yeah, listen to what else he says. Love you too. If you need help making money, it's better ways than gossiping. I'm too old for this shit. I love always the most dominant big man ever who never took it serious. Remember, I don't know you. And in the words of Skip Bayless, I'm better than you. Hashtag G14 classification. I have it. You don't. Not in my profession. And your GOAT debate. Never wanted to be the GOAT. I wanted to be who you should greet me as. And he puts in caps, the most dominant ever. You never wanted to be the GOAT.
That's fine. That's fine too. That's fine too. Okay. That's fine too. But there used to be a thing where it would be like, it felt like the bigs always stand for the bigs and then the guards always stand. Oh, you know what I mean? It was like you had those guys out there who had your back. And it does feel like Shaq's doing this. It does feel like Shaq is always going after Embiid and Anthony Davis and Jokic and whatever, because they're bigs and they encroach on his legacy, where it's like a guard winning another, like SGA getting an MVP keeps Jokic out of the conversation with Shaq.
I see your point.
I mean, like, I love SGA. I'm rooting for that guy so hard because of the way he got done by the Clippers. I like his fucking play. I like that he's put OKC back on the map. I like SGA. He's fun. He's a great future face of the NBA. Like he'll be on the, top 5 NBA guys for the next few years. I like that. But Shaq voting for him over Jokic for MVP is he doesn't want Jokic in the big man conversation.
I agree.
In the all-time great big man conversation.
I totally agree. And again, I think Shaq, I think he sees stuff, and that's why he's insecure. Because we all know, especially with the casuals, the Kobe Shaq discussion is always going on Twitter.
You know what I'll never understand? And I get that he's dead now, but also he started doing it when he was alive. I never understood the play of how my ass tastes, all that shit. And then for him to flip and start talking about Kobe being better than him and Kobe and is closer to Jordan than LeBron. Like, I don't even know if I'm like, is that because you started seeing LeBron encroaching on your most dominant ever thing? Like, what was that about? Because that was one of the ultimate Shaq dominance, greatness arguments. Like, the reason Shaq's in the top 5 is he put literal people on his back and dragged them into the top 15.
Yeah. I mean, they got swept, but that young Orlando Magic team with him and Penny, they made it to the NBA Finals, man.
Yeah.
They made it all the way to the finals. Ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Shaq was such a force. But he clearly is very insecure. Did you release the diss track, which, again, I'm here for? Here's my thing, Shaq. You know what Shannon Sharpe has, and he has a unfiltered, long-form podcast. Now, Shaq has a podcast too, which everybody does. But my thing is this. Instead of doing a diss track, sit down with Shannon Sharpe for 2 hours and talk about it. Have a gentleman's debate. Defend yourself like you're going to court. Defend yourself. What did he say that was wrong? That's how you handle it, in my opinion.
To me, obviously, Shaq's got a huge ego. But to me, the obvious thing is Shaq has been a weird guy to follow his takes throughout the years. It seems like he's not very consistent in, this guy's the GOAT, that guy's the GOAT. LeBron, he said recently LeBron was the GOAT. Then I think he changed his mind again after that. Like, it doesn't seem like he's super consistent in his actual opinion on things, which makes me think you don't really have an opinion on things. You're kind of just like going where the wind blows. But the truth about Shaq is, if he didn't have such an ego, he has the easiest fucking argument about his career ever. I didn't care about being the GOAT. I didn't care about 40,000 points. I cared about winning championships, and I played my career the way I needed to try to win as many as possible. And I have 3 finals MVPs in a row, which not a lot of other players have. I think technically, right, only one other player has it if you don't count Bill Russell.
What do you think he's talking about? He's talking about, like, I know what you did.
I have no idea.
I would love those two to sit down together. And I would also love Shannon Sharpe to stop bleeping. Why does he bleep swear words on his podcast?
Does he bleep it like if you watch the whole podcast through, or does he just bleep
audio
clips? Oh.
I listened to the entire Charles Barkley podcast, and Chuck was swearing a lot. He's bleeping every swear.
I don't fucking know. I'm sure it just makes it more
monetizable.
Yeah.
If that's a word. So Bronny is going to stay in the NBA draft. Bronny James, bro, is he going to be the first ever? Is he going to be the first ever Nepo draft pick?
Probably. No. Well, no, he's not.
He wasn't even that good in high school. Like, he shouldn't even have been a McDonald's All-American.
I didn't watch any high school basketball.
I didn't either. And but I'm just saying, from stuff I am going to weigh in just from stuff I read.
Yeah, but listen, LeBron's not top 15 player ever because he's a flopping bitch. You could read that. You want me to send you that article? The hatred for LeBron James is otherworldly.
He averaged 4 points at USC, dude.
Right. He collapsed and died of a fucking heart attack before the season started.
I was just about to get to that. He went to cardiac arrest.
What are we talking about?
He went to cardiac arrest. I'm not drafting a guy who went to cardiac arrest.
Listen. Many players. Okay, let's talk about. We could talk about a lot of different aspects of this. Mike Piazza was a Nepo baby draft pick.
He was.
Mike Piazza is the greatest hitting catcher of all time. And a top, probably 5 all-around catcher of all time.
A little different, though.
Baseball and basketball?
He was drafted so late. Yeah, there's so many rounds.
Well, I don't think Bronny's going to be a lottery pick.
I don't think. Look.
Let me just say, Nepo babies have been drafted in every sport.
I don't think LeBron's doing his son any favors. I'll just say that.
Getting him into the NBA?
Say, earn it, dude. I don't know.
So what?
I'm putting on my parenting cap for this one.
You're putting on your parenting cap.
Yeah. Earn that shit, bro. You want to play in the NBA? Earn it. I'm not doing you any favors.
What does that look like?
Well, let me put it this way. Money's not an issue. Agreed?
Sure.
It's LeBron fucking James, dude.
So the argument here is that somebody's going to draft Bronny in hopes that they sign LeBron?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Which I would never do if I was running a team, by the way. Especially with LeBron being at the tail end of his career.
Do you think...
I will think less of the Lakers if they draft him.
Do you think that... I should say this. Don't you think that Bronny's chances of actually having an NBA career, not just like a 1-year crossover with his dad, don't you think that Bronny's chances of having an NBA career are better if he transfers, plays well, maybe stays through his junior or senior year, proves himself as an NBA talent, gets drafted on his own accord? Don't you think that gives him a better chance of being a guy who plays in the league 5, 6, 7 years than this?
Yeah, but he's not going to do that. He might.
He's right. I'm saying he's not going to do that. So, like, in a way, right, this idea that LeBron James is like helping him get to the NBA. Yeah, he's helping him get to the NBA, but he's not helping him have an NBA career.
And I don't disagree with anything you just said. I agree.
Yeah.
The longevity, he's not helping him.
So, listen, if a team signs Bronny James to get LeBron James, like, they know what they're fucking doing. You know what I mean? They're giving away a roster, dude. The Giannis Antetokounmpo just happens to also be on the Bucks.
No, I totally agree. It's the same thing. I didn't even know he was in the Bucks.
I think he was at some point. I don't know if he still is or what, but
his name's Giannis.
Giannis, I think so.
Like the anus, Giannis.
The anus.
Yeah, touched her Giannis. What? You touched her? Yeah, no, I touched her Giannis.
I think that's his name. Thanasis Antetokounmpo, who's averaging.
I gave her the Thanasis.
who's averaging 0.9 points in the NBA, yes, is on the Bucks 2019 to present. He was in the G League this year.
Let me guess. He's got a podcast.
He has an NBA. He has a championship ring from 2021.
Maybe Bronny and Thanasis. They can start their own podcast.
He's 31.
Called Nepo Pod.
He's the older brother.
Oh, he's older than Giannis.
Did not know that.
Wow, that's a fun fact.
Yeah.
So the Hawks surprised everybody. They're going to get their number 1 pick. They only had a 3% chance.
Yeah.
This is where the NBA rig stuff, this is where I always think this shit's rigged.
Because they want Atlanta to be good?
I don't know. They hate the Pistons for some reason.
Didn't the Pistons have the number 1 overall pick like 2 years ago? Didn't Cade Cunningham go number 1 to the...
Was he the number 1 overall pick?
I don't know.
They should have had the highest percentage. I mean, the Hawks...
They did have the highest percentage.
Okay. They did. They were at 14%. What did I read about Detroit? Well, they've had a lot of shitty years, so maybe they just got it that one year, but they've had a lot of bad years. But I don't think this is a surefire draft like some of the
Cunningham was drafted with the first overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft.
Okay, well, this is what I read. The Pistons had the worst overall record, and in back-to-back years, they've fallen to the 5th pick, Joe. That's what I read. So they've had back-to-back worst records, and they never got a number 1 pick. They got 5. That's not good.
They did get a number 1 pick. They got it in 2021.
I'm saying the last 2 years.
Okay.
They've not even gotten a top 3 pick for having a process that sucks. What is the process? Just eat Little Caesars pizza and suck? What is this process going on?
Yes, your process. Eat Little Caesars and suck. You suck again. Yeah, but I mean, this is the like. I don't necessarily think like what's the anti-Detroit. I would argue.
I'm not saying there's one. I'm just tossing it out there.
I think that this is the whole. This is the whole idea of the This is the way they shifted this so that you don't have this overwhelming chance to win just by tanking, right?
But my point is, you've seen this. We've all watched Hard Knocks. It's Detroit versus everybody. Everybody is against them.
Right, of course. Have they thought about biting more of the kneecaps of the ping pong balls?
By the way, how far with the draft being in Detroit? I didn't like Eminem being involved because I'm like, this is what you're doing now. As a guy who was like the biggest Eminem fan, I'm not going to use the word sellout, but it's like, I don't know if you saw it. Like, you're bringing Lions players on stage with Roger Goodell. You're doing a sketch with Roger Goodell. I don't know, man. That's tough for me. Like, as a guy who loved his first 2 albums.
I mean, he's just Mr. Detroit. Like, this is just his like.
Okay, fair enough.
You know, that's the only thing is like Detroit. What do they have?
Crack.
I mean, Philly runs out like a fictional boxer for their shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. True.
Indiana is like got a basketball team from a movie. They're like they're gonna go like tomorrow. Rick Carlisle at shoot around today is measuring the hoops at MSG.
I'm just picturing Tyrese Halliburton shooting the free throw underhand like the bench warmer who gets in Hoosiers. That's a great movie.
Fucking Gene Hackman walking out at MSG shoot around today. 95-year-old Gene Hackman who retired from acting, measuring with it the hoop. The rims are the same size here as they are at Cambridge Fieldhouse.
Who's gonna be the alcoholic? Who's gonna be the alcoholic? Who's gonna be the Dennis Hopper? Shooter.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the shooter?
Great question.
I'm trying to think of somebody from Indiana that
Yeah.
is famous who just comes out as a shooter.
It's gonna be Reggie Miller. Because every time he goes to MSG, he drinks, remembering his career winning percentage there is fucking 32%. And he was a shooter, so it's perfect.
He can't be shooter.
Why not?
He can't be playing that character. They put shooter in that straitjacket at the end. It was intense.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, let's not. Can you imagine Reggie Miller's so skinny. You wouldn't even have to put a straight. You just put like a belt around him. Right? He's a skinny dude. Just wrap like my 32-inch waist belt around him. You'll be able to move. It's so funny to watch Reggie Miller. He was so skinny.
Oh yeah.
Like that was the NBA back then. God,
LeBron would have gotten fucking destroyed in the NBA back then.
You know who?
Meanwhile, Reggie Miller is built like current Rick Carlisle while he played in the NBA. Just looks like a fucking cancer patient.
How bad were those Pacers?
5-time NBA All-Star. It's one of the worst takes ever.
Weren't those jerseys terrible?
Which ones?
Those Pacers jerseys.
Oh yeah,
like all time bad. I still think they're kind of shitty.
Which ones?
The Reggie Miller days Pacers.
Yeah, those were bad. The stripe ones weren't better.
No. That's who they had.
You guys are a pace car? Is that the deal? Is that what you guys are?
I'm assuming, right?
You're not the racers. You're Kevin James in the Chevy Lumina, fucking with his hands out the window, like you're the pace car?
That's so brand for Indiana. They should make
the Indiana Racers.
They should make their mascot the Shooters. It should be Dennis Hopper in a straitjacket. They should be the Indiana Shooters.
The pregame video they show on the Jumbotron is him like stumbling into the locker room and falling down.
Holy shit, I'm fucking crying. I think he won an Academy Award for that movie.
No, he did not.
Am I out of my mind?
Yeah, there's no way. I refuse to believe that. No way.
Am I out of my mind?
Dennis Hopper won for Hoosiers? No way.
Best supporting actor?
No, he could not have. That can't be.
I don't know. Maybe I just completely made that shit up.
If he did, that's insane.
Let's look it up.
No way.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm looking up Dennis Hopper. I know. Okay, Dennis Hopper. Come on. Where are we at here? Let's scroll down here.
Awards and nominations. Here we go. Hoosiers.
He was nominated.
It's unbelievable. He didn't win.
I wasn't that far off.
Sure.
What? He was nominated?
You're right. He was nominated. But he didn't win.
You think I'm right though? That he should change that?
I just think it's so funny that they're the Pacers.
Damn, he was married 5 times.
Dude, you know the whole story. You know where his house was in Venice, right?
Where was it?
It was on Indiana between 4th and
It's by Laz's house.
No. The way it's by Gold's, like Indiana. Indiana between 4th and Speedway. And it was a Frank Gehry like house, and then he built like Dennis Hopper a house, and then he built like a condo, like a thing of condos like next, like 3 apartments next door. And then he ended up buying that and putting like a sky bridge over to it. The whole thing was like filled with fucking he was like a big time art collector. He had like literally, I think, hundreds of millions of dollars in art. And he divorced his wife on his deathbed so that she didn't get all that shit.
His last wife.
Yeah. He died while I was driving to Los Angeles to move to LA. He died on the road while I was driving to Los Angeles. And then I lived around the corner for that when I lived on 4th.
Well, you're right. He must have, because it's hilarious. He died on May 29th. The divorce says September of 2010.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hold on. I don't know if that's true. So again, this is all Wikipedia. On January 14th, he filed for divorce, citing her as outrageous conduct and stating she was insane, inhuman, and volatile. He was granted a restraining order against her. She was forbidden to come within 10 feet of him. On March 9th, she refused to move out of Hopper's home despite the court's order to do so by March. It's always crazy to me when.
So in March of the year, he died in May. She refused to move out. And he had like cancer. He was like dying for a while.
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, legend.
But also, like, at what point, like, you married 5 times. Like at what point you're just like, maybe this marriage thing isn't for me.
Yeah.
Right.
But I love the divorce at the end. Like, you're not getting my money. My kids are getting my money. I'm divorcing you the last thing I do is divorcing you.
Yeah. By the way, I was looking at that picture that Nick D'Alessandro sent from Savage Town. The graffiti is back in full force on the giant wall by the pool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the bird scooters.
Bird scooters are still there?
Yeah. I recognized the few that I used to charge. Remember when I charged bird scooters for a minute?
That's right. I do.
Dude, my apartment was already
come in. It was just like 40 bird scooters in there.
And it was already the smallest apartment ever. So this has been sitting on the rundown for I don't know how long.
Team rap songs.
No, that's still there. We're not talking about it. There's a few things that have been sitting down because I gotta get moving here soon. So I just want to wrap this up. 310-359-8365. That is our hotline. But I found this pretty interesting. The most because we haven't talked really any baseball, but the most expensive baseball stadium to attend.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, Andy. Teams are getting smart. Teams are starting to listen to Joe Prano. There's a lot of all-you-can-eat hot dog nights lately.
Smart.
There's a lot of the Seattle Mariners are doing a great thing where they're just literally throwing hot dogs out the window on parachutes. And they're just like floating down to people's seats. Free hot dogs falling from the sky.
Wait, what? That's
Correct.
Amazing.
Correct. And then Mikey sent me this today. I mean, straight out of the fucking Dirty Sports playbook. Keeping it 100 is the title of this promotion. Keeping it 100 with the 100 emoji. 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 pretzels, 4 drinks. $100. This is what I've been saying forever. Take my $100.
Which team is that?
The New York Mets.
So the Mets actually aren't too bad if you look at this. They're on the lower half. So this is the most expensive stadium to attend an MLB game. This is based off last year, 2023, right? So this is a Reddit post. And what they do is they're counting 4 tickets, 2 beers, 4 soft drinks, 2 hot dogs.
I love this. 2 beers. So the dad gets 2 beers, the wife gets 2 fucking Diet Cokes, and the kids each get 1 soft drink.
Yeah. 2 hot dogs, parking, 2 game programs, and I don't know why they have 2
Do you need 2 game programs for one group?
Yeah, I mean, regardless, the most expensive. These are the top 5 most expensive to attend. It goes Red Sox, Yankees, Astros, Cubs, Dodgers.
I could have told you every single one of those. Astros, I wouldn't have been surprised if the Texas Rangers has been in there, but Houston's more set in a downtown thing, so I'm not surprised parking's probably more expensive.
So it's almost $400 to attend a Red Sox game, according to this thing. If you're going with the family, it's $396, Yankees $376, Astros $368, Cubs $350, Dodgers $345. Now your Mets are on the bottom half. They're the first team in the bottom half at $266. Your bottom 5, the cheapest 5 game teams to attend last year, last by a big margin, is the Arizona Diamondbacks, who made the World Series, right?
Yeah.
They're 170. Miami Marlins, no surprise, 184. Tampa Bay, 205. And then rounding out the top 5, the Reds are 213 and the Pirates are 215. But still, it's this is what they're basing this off of. 4 padded seat tickets at $50 each.
Where is this?
This is just the generic thing. This is what they're claiming. This is how they're doing the pricing. Wait, what is this? Because then it would all be the same price.
Right. Are you looking at one specific one right now?
No, that's just what it says at the bottom. This is kind of confusing. Because seat tickets are going to vary.
Right.
Regardless, they play 81 home games, is my point. It should not be expensive as it is for some of these teams. It's insane. Because take a team like the Cardinals. They support baseball really good in St. Louis. Right, it's still a Midwestern town. It's $284.
Yeah.
My point is, people are making less in that city. It's a lot of money, man. You're gonna go to one game a year.
And what ends up more likely happening, and I would assume that this would be, what a lot of parents go through. God knows if I'll ever have a kid, or certainly if I do, the likelihood of me having multiple at this point is probably low. But
Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something personal?
Yeah.
I feel like you've mentioned the kid thing a couple times now.
What do you mean?
You've said it before when we're talking, you'd love to teach your kid how to do a baseball program. Yeah. I feel like you want to have a kid.
I've always wanted to have a kid. I always.
You have?
Always. Never wavered on that. Never.
Okay.
Always.
I didn't know that.
But, I'm not I'm not the kind of person that would have a kid just to have one.
I got you.
I actually wrote that in the blog I put out recently on Miscellaneous, my Substack page, which you can become a member of for free by being a founding member of the Dirty Sports page. But I put it in there as just luckily I have not made that mistake by having a kid with the wrong person. And obviously I've had my fair share of girlfriends over the years, and so far none of them right. You always hope that your current team is the one that you'll finish your career with, but would have been a reckless decision to have had a kid with any of the other ones, so didn't do that. And I think listen, I could do a whole long talk about, I think a lot of the people I know are probably unhappy because they went through a process. They met a woman, and then the next thing you know, they had a kid with her, and then they realized they hated the person, loved the kid, and now they're like, well, I'm fucking stuck because I want to be here for my kid, but also I hate this person and I'm miserable. And I've done, obviously I have a ton of jokes about that in my act. So just but I've always, me, I worked with kids forever, coached high school, coached youth kids, did the Big Brother program, nephews, nieces, all that. I mean, it's almost weird. Especially when I have the mustache, it's almost borderline sketchy how many children I'm not related to out there that refer to me as Uncle Joe. So yeah, always wanted a kid, but back to my point, which is I think a lot of dads end up taking their son to a ball game, or dads end up taking their daughter and they don't take their other kid, and the wife doesn't come. I think there's something great about mom and dad and the two kids go to a ballpark. And now it's like, oh, you take her to do, you know what? I'll take the kid to the Reds game and you take her to Taylor Swift when they come to town.
I got you. Yeah.
Because the ballparks are raping you on prices. And so is Taylor Swift, obviously. Another, like, she's essentially a NFL owner.
There's only so much money. Yeah. I get it. And you're right. I mean, especially for parents, right? And obviously I have a young, early toddler, but you see that even at that age, you're like, okay, what's the best way to maximize this? Oh, a zoo pass is great, right? That's actually an interesting comparison. I just bought a zoo pass for my family. She's obsessed with animals. $160 for one full year, which includes, you're right, when they do the Christmas lights. And my point is, like, compare that to going down to see a Reds game. Like, how close, if the three of us go to a game and get decent seats, does that one game with a family of three, a small family, exceed the $160 I'm spending for the entire year for the Cincinnati Zoo?
Right.
Guarantee it does.
Yeah.
Guarantee it does. That's a problem. Also, I'd argue maybe seeing cool animals is better than seeing the product that the Reds are putting on the field. Shots. You know, I want to leave the show. Before we leave the show, I want to say this. Speaking of, like, shooting shots, I kind of had an epiphany.
Speaking of shooting shots. Speaking of shooting shots.
Shooter. It all goes back to shooter. Yeah. I've had an epiphany on my stance, or maybe this is already known. And on the term fair weather fan. I don't like it as much anymore. And I used to be part of calling people fair weather. Dude, if your team has sucked for so long, why should you continue to support or pay? That's all I'm going to say. Like, because I was thinking about the Reds, and somebody posted something on Twitter, and it was 20 years ago that this ownership bought the team, and they have the actual press release about how they're going to bring championship baseball back to Cincinnati and this and that. And somebody wrote under the tweet, they've made the playoffs 4 times in 20 years, not a single playoff series win, not a single one. They've done not a single thing that they promised in 20 years. So this goes for all fan bases. It doesn't matter whether you're a Bears fan or a Reds fan or whatever. My thing is, like, I don't think it's shitty for fans anymore. And I won't use that term fair weather if they jump back board when a team's good, because my argument is, if I keep going to a bad restaurant and it's not giving me good service and not giving me good food, I'm not going to go there. Or if they're not trying, at least. Bad breaks happen. Crazy luck, bad luck happens. My point is, I don't even like that term anymore, because in my opinion, Joe, we talk about all the time with these billionaire owners, there's too many teams that don't care or are too inept and are too cheap to pay for the right staff to make good decisions. That's not bad as a fan if they say, I'm done with you guys until you're good.
I think so. There's two, I don't disagree with you, but I think there's two sort of things at work here. One, listen, I don't think that you should be I don't think it is even necessarily a, I don't think going to the ballpark or spending money on the merch or going and buy, I don't even necessarily think that quantifies, like, being a good fan. Like, I think that you can be a good fan and never go to the ballpark. And if you support it, if you're watching the game on TV or you're listening on the radio or you're checking the box score every day, it's like, I think especially the way that these teams take advantage of their fans in terms of trying to set prices at this. We can make things cost this much because this is 1 cent below the breaking point that people won't pay more for, so I think in the hyper capitalist era that sports has become, where it's like money before everything, saying like, I care about this baseball team, but fuck this owner, is like totally appropriate. I think where fair weather fan, I think, comes a little bit more into play. So like, let's take that out. I think that the flip side of the coin is the fan that doesn't support at all when they're bad and then is hyper fanatic when they're good is a little bit more to blame. Like, you're like, oh, I hate the Bengals and I hate the Bengals ownership, and I'm not going to support the Bengals because their ownership sucks, but I will buy a fucking jersey and fly the flag when they go to the Super Bowl.
Gotcha.
And
Lakers fans.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
100%. And, like, I'm a Knicks fan, and some dipshit fucking Philadelphia loser was like, oh, you're the fakest Knicks fan. You didn't fucking support them when they fucking mellow. Yeah, I did. That's actually the fucking point, is I had to watch fucking the mellow years. Did I root against the player? Yeah. Did I want them to lose? Was there a certain point in mellow seasons where I would say, we're not good enough, I hope we lose all the games and move on? Yeah, because I want the team to win a championship. I have been a fucking diehard Knicks fan my whole life. And when your team is doing things wrong, I think rooting for a team to win, when you like to win regular season games, when in the end that doesn't help you, going to Madison Square Garden and chanting "Fire Isaiah" is being a diehard Knicks fan. Yeah. Wanting the Knicks to lose all but 17 games when they have Melo is being a diehard Knicks fan. Being a fair weather fan is going, I'll disappear when they're bad and I'll come back when they're good and I'll like whatever. And I think that that's always shitty. And yeah, totally. Like California fan. Listen, I'll say it right fucking now to one of the fan base that I attack all the time. Philadelphia, you're fair weather fucking fans. You're fair weather fans because you want to go and be shitty and boo and spit on people when you're not good. All of my Philadelphia friends, the second their teams aren't, they disappear. It's text. Eagles, Sixers. Oh, we're butt fucking the Knicks. The second, it's over. They're gone. They don't care. Until free agency. Oh, we got Saquon. We took Saquon from you. Blah, blah. The minute they lose 8 games this year, gone. Done. Forever. Like, so to me, having shitty ownership, if you're a Mets fan and you've gone through the ups and downs that the Mets have for years, and you're like, I'm not going to the ballpark because the Will Pounds are pieces of shit. Good. You're a better fan. You're actually a better fan for it because you're not supporting a disastrous situation. That's that's where sports fandom and politics like alike. You know what I mean? It's like, if he's a Democrat, he could do no wrong. If he's a Republican, he can do no wrong. Blah, 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 blah. Like, all of a sudden today, we have all these Republicans like, all these wars we're in. Where the fuck were you guys for 20 years when we were like literally in wars? And you guys didn't give a shit about Iraq, and you didn't give a shit about fucking Afghanistan. And now all of a sudden we're literally not in wars, but we have proxy wars with other people. And you're all of a sudden like have a magnifying glass out to the military budget. All this money that Ukraine could be going to. What about fucking when we were literally taking tanks and fucking drones and jets over to the Middle East? You didn't give a shit then. That's what fair, like being a good fan is being loud and angry when your ownership is dog shit. But also, I do not fault any fan that goes, I don't need this in my life. Like, I don't, but just being like, we're bad. If your team is actively trying to be good and doing it the right way and you're bad, it's like, I'll give the Cubs credit, man. The Cubbies were always like, next year's our year.
That's my point. They really were.
Wrigley Field was always full. We're here for the beer and the hot dogs and the vibes. Cool. And they were dog shit for 100 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know.
But they were like, oh, Wrigley family, and they're doing a good thing, and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And so, I like that to me is the definition. Like, dude, it just costs too much today to support terrible ownership.
Yeah.
But like we look at these Oakland fans, you also have to look at the flip side of it. It's like, that's capitalism now. If you're like, we don't like the ownership, so we're not going to go, well, then they're going to leave. So that's also something you got to think about.
For sure.
But like not going, if your ownership sucks and your team sucks and you don't want to go, there's a lot of money, a lot of things to spend money on these days. Dude, I ordered fucking the other night when you hit me with you ever try a Wingstop dog and sent our live into a fucking tailspin? I spent $60 on fucking Buffalo Wild Wings.
It's insane.
They used to get you into a ballpark and a beer and a hot dog and whatever. So it's like,
I know.
Ain't nobody got time to go to the ballpark just because, like, I'm a fucking fan. Yeah, you think I'm watching? You think I'm like spending money to go watch Carmelo Anthony like destroy the Knicks franchise from the inside out? Get fucked, dog.
Well, we'd love to hear you guys hop in here. 310-359-8365. Feel free to hop in anything on Substack as well. We always have threads going for each episode. What's going on with you, Joe? I know you got some shows.
Vegas this Thursday, just a couple days away. I will be at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club, opening for Jimmy Kimmel's friend Adam Carolla this Thursday. Friday and Saturday, I'll be up in the Central Coast, San Luis Obispo, Los Osos. What's the other one? Nipomo. Got some Don't Tell shows up there, so you can go to don'ttellcomedy.com, and I think it would probably be the San Luis Obispo area. I'm on all those shows this weekend. I have a bunch of other stuff coming up, joepraner.com for all shows, but for you East Coasters that weren't able to make it out, a lot of people hit me up and were like, dude, come in the summer, come in a weekend, like I'm fucking working, I can't, whatever. July, last weekend of July, I believe it's 26th, 27th, 28th, coming back and doing Yonkers Comedy Club in New York. So come out and see me there. Check out joepraner.com for all other live shows. Andy, Tuesday night, Game 5, MSG live watch. I mean, I'll probably do it.
Okay.
We'll see how my back's feeling. I'm not sure how my back's feeling right now, but if I can get up the stairs to do it, maybe I will.
Well, let's be in touch on that. If you'll do it, there's a good chance I'll be hopping in.
No,
all right, guys.
I'm gonna make some wings from home. Save myself $400.
Costco's got pretty good ones.
Okay, good to know.
For real, like big bag frozen, like they got sauce in there. I don't even put the sauce on because I think it's pretty good. I've turned a lot of people onto that, and they're like, "Yeah."
You don't even put sauce on. What do they become? They're pre-seasoned.
Yeah, it's pre-seasoned, but they have extra sauces in there too if you want to throw them on. But I've turned a lot of people onto the Costco.
You air fry them?
I have. They're better in the oven.
Okay.
I've tried both, but they're better in the oven. But I've turned a lot of people onto those Costco wings. Get your bang for your buck. Shit ton of wings for like $15. All right. Well, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back on Thursday, and look out for that live Game 5 Tuesday night. Have a great week. And as always, stay dirty.